You know that rush of enthusiasm we get when January rolls around? That urge to reset, to restart, to reimagine what is possible. Well, there's actually some fascinating science around why we're wired to see the new year as a fresh slate. And it's called the fresh start effect. And our brains perceive temporal landmarks, which is significant moments in time, as an opportunity to leave the past behind. So, such as New Year. New Year gives us a chance to leave those imperfections of the past behind us and step into a new and improved version of ourselves. But here's something I find interesting. When I start the new year, and it might be the same for you, I have that sudden urge of motivation, but then it's closely followed by overwhelm as I sit down to work. Because not only do I have all these amazing ideas in my head of all the things I want to achieve this year, but there's a lot of noise coming from the digital world that impacts that. So I like to do a bit of a clear out around this time of year so I can focus on what really matters. So this is going to be your New Year reset button of the digital world. So stick around. Ready to break free from the solopreneur struggle? This is the Ease and Impact Thriving as a Solopreneur podcast. I'm Frankie Jay, a surfer, a mum, and an 8-year solopreneur myself. Join me as I peel back the layers to a thriving online business without the guru hype or the burnout. I'm going to show you the proven strategies and tools that I use so you can build a sustainable digital business without sacrificing your well-being. Let's get you thriving as a solopreneur. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Ease and Impact podcast, your weekly guide to thriving as a solopreneur. I'm your host, Frankie Jay, and today we're doing a digital clear out. Have you ever looked at your computer when you sat down to work and felt instantly overwhelmed? You know, that feeling of looking at screenshots everywhere on your desktop, emails piling up, about 15 different apps that you downloaded but never actually used. If you are nodding your head right now, then this episode is for you. Before we jump in, if this is your first time here with us and you're a digital solopreneur or you're a coach who is looking for practical advice on the solo business journey, no matter where you're at, then this is your place, my friend. We're going to explore some practical strategies, overcome challenges, streamline your business so you can maximize that impact out there that you're trying to make in the world. You can pivot through the uncertainties that happen when you're a solopreneur and build lasting success without sacrificing your well-being. Now, a bit of a disclaimer or kind of a cautionary tale maybe before we get into the strategies. And this might be you as well. So I love organizing and decluttering. And I was totally into those shows like Marie Kondo, if you've watched that, or Hoarders. So while my Netflix algorithm probably thought that I lived in complete chaos, I actually got to learn some crucial elements from these shows that relate to business, that our digital environment affects our mental state almost as much as our physical environment. But here's the thing. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, is sometimes I catch myself using organizing as a way to avoid the real work I should be doing. And maybe you know what I mean. It's that moment that you have a difficult or challenging task that you've got to tackle. And all of a sudden, organizing your Google Drive feels like the most urgent task in the world. Does that sound familiar? So if that is you, it's just something to be aware of, that perhaps instead of doing your decluttering, your organizing, at that time is schedule it in ahead of time into your calendar in advance. And that is the time you're going to choose to focus on that task, not when you have the other real work that you should be doing. But back to why we need to digitally declutter. So your business operates as an ecosystem with you at the center. And like any good ecosystem, when there's too much clutter, everything sort of slows down. And the same happens for you and your business. There's more distractions, you feel pulled in different directions. And often we have, gurus and experts out there who might say that you just need one more tool or one more system or one more course to unlock that success. But today we're going to focus on sometimes less is more. So let me show you the 5 things that I love to do as a way to clean up, to declutter, to clear out my digital space so I can move forward with more ease and focus. First, let's talk about the emails that you've saved for later. The ones that are from about 3 to 6 months ago, and it has some amazing opportunity or resource that you're definitely going to get to eventually. Well, here's the truth. If you haven't implemented the content in that email in the last 3 to 6 months, then you're not going to. And that's okay. Because when you're ready for that next step, when you're ready to implement that particular resource, you'll be able to seek it out naturally. And the other thing is, we live in a fast-paced digital world, and those emails that you've been saving for later, especially if they're tech-related, might actually be obsolete now. So let's just get rid of them. Get rid of all those emails that you've saved for later, that you haven't looked at in the last 3 to 6 months. Just delete them. It's okay. Looks like I'm holding your hand with this step. Just delete the emails. So while you're in your inbox, let's get rid of some of those subscriptions and lists that you're on. So you know those companies or those people that you're following that you're getting emails from, and you keep them around, but you usually just delete the emails without even opening them, because maybe you might read something because this topic is slightly interesting to you, but maybe it's not on your list to implement this year. Unsubscribe. Clear the clutter that's coming in daily before it even gets there. Get rid of some of those subscriptions that you're really not implementing right now. Third, it's time to do an app audit. So take out your phone right now. It's okay, I'll wait. So we're going to look for all those apps that you haven't used in the last 90 days. If you're on an iPhone, you can go to Settings, General, into Storage, and then you'll see a list of apps. So Settings, General, into Storage, and then you want to sort these apps by date last used. Each one is taking up not just storage space, but mental space as well. So delete them. Anything you haven't used in the last 3 months, if you need them, you can come back and download them again later. Now, here's my favorite way to create instant mental space, and that's to clear your desktop completely. And I mean completely. Grab everything on your desktop and put it into a folder called Desktop Stuff, and feel the immediate relief of that clean slate in front of you. Now, you'll need to sort this folder eventually, but the psychological impact of a clear desktop feels incredible. Now, if you don't get around to getting into that folder and actually using anything in there in the next, say, 90 days, then just delete it all. But if you want to do an immediate sort of clear out of what's in there at the moment, here's a tip for you. If there are screenshots in there that you've said, that's interesting, I should implement that one day, refer to our first step. Clean out anything that you have not used in 3 to 6 months. Just delete it. Right. Number 5. This is a game changer for not just your mental space, but your bank account as well. So let's talk about all the software subscriptions that you're paying for. So you know what I mean. That social media scheduler that you signed up for during a flash sale, or the premium version of that project management tool, or maybe even multiple design or editing apps that basically do the same thing. So here's how to do a proper subscription audit. Pull out your last 3 months of your credit card or your bank statements. I know, sounds a little scary, but stick with me here, okay? Then we want to do is create a spreadsheet with 4 columns in it. Those columns are going to say tool name, monthly cost, last date used, and does this directly make or save me money? Now you've got your spreadsheet, you're going to start to see which softwares or applications you haven't used in a while, or ones that aren't actually directly making or saving you money. And as you read through the information, I want you to ask yourself these questions. When was the last time I logged into and used it properly? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, could I downgrade to a free version or a cheaper version and still get 80% of the benefit? Number 3, am I keeping it because I might use it someday? Or am I actually using it in my business right now? And number 4, could I consolidate multiple tools into one that does everything pretty well? So here's what surprises most people. We often hang on to tools because we invested time in learning them, or because we think we should be using them. But here's the truth. Every unused subscription isn't just a money suck, it's mental clutter as well. It's another password to remember, another login to manage, another thing on your I really should use that more list. So all of this isn't about making things nice and tidy. It's about creating space for what really matters in your business. So every time you remove digital clutter, you're making space and room for creativity, for innovation, for growth. You're telling yourself that you're in control of your business, not the other way around. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure I hear from you. So, what topic would you like me to most cover in this podcast? Drop a comment with your question or your challenges, or maybe something you loved about today's episode just down below. And help me to create content that creates more ease and impact in your business. Now, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ease and Impact podcast. Remember, your business, it thrives when you thrive. And sometimes that starts with simply clearing some space so we can think clearly. So I'll see you next week, 10 a.m. New Zealand time.